I'm Barbara Schreiber.
And I'm Dick Schreiber. Originally, we're from New Jersey, both of us, but we met in New York City, and we eventually bought a home up here. And we loved the area so much that we were constantly asking ourselves the question, could we live up here permanently?
And the answer was yes.
Yes.
We started as weekenders, and that was 1980, and in 1987 we moved up full-time. And in 1992, we bought the was at the time
Hudson Valley Department Store.
And now it's called the Rhinebeck Department Store. There's just a wonderful group of people that either live here or visit here, and they appreciate the beauty of the area. What else?
Rhinebeck is it's been a destination for people not only from this area, but from around the country and from around the world, as we have had customers in our store from Europe and from the Far East. And the fact that they have come back and visited us again years later indicates that Rhinebeck is a very popular destination.
My name is John Traver.
My name is Allison Traver.
I run Samuel's Sweet Shop in the center of town. I've been doing that since I've worked there since I was 15 years old, and I'm a lifelong resident.
And I work remotely. I work for a company called DSV Road, and it's a logistics company. I do first and last mile logistics brokerage. So why Rhinebeck? My husband and I are both long-term members of the community. Our families were from here, so we're generational. We both went to school in different places. I went to Boston. You went to?
Union College.
And we both decided upon meeting one another again, renewing our relationship, to move back here, that we wanted to be with our family and raise a family here. And John had been with Samuel's, like he said, for so long, so it was only natural for us to come back. Besides that, though, I think it's a beautiful community. It's a beautiful place to live. I travel a lot for work now, and it's always really welcoming to come back home here.
And I, of course, particularly love the really special group of small independent shops and restaurants that we have in town, all within walking distance. I think that Rhinebeck's a pretty special one-stop-like community with a lot to offer.
I'm Maya Kaimal. I have an Indian food business here, headquartered in Rhinebeck. I really love the Northeast, and I met my husband in New York City, and when we started a family, we were looking for somewhere to live other than Brooklyn, and we landed here. The beauty of the place was just number one. Just walking through the middle of town and feeling the kind of pulse of this place. I really liked the energy and the sort of quality of the stores and the restaurants. And then when we found out that the school was really good, then that was really kind of like the thing, I think, that made it, that sealed the deal for us. So just like a beautiful place with great schools, and also the access of Amtrak to the city really made a difference too. Yeah, I mean, I love the size of it. I love the mix of people. I love that it's changing. I see young families moving here, and I really love that, because we kind of have. Yeah, it's a really nice mix of people, and I like that it's getting a little more diverse. That makes me really happy.
My name's Olivia Pulver. I'm a student at Rhinebeck High School. I'm in 10th grade. I love how it's small and just like everyone knows everyone, and it's like I have so many friends. It's just like a big family, and it's really fun living here.
My name's Lori Bird Firestone. I am a freelance producer. I work primarily for a fashion photographer whose name is Bruce Weber, and I set up his photo shoots. I live in Rhinebeck and travel all over. However, I am very involved in the Rhinebeck community in regards to, I'm on the Northern Dutchess Hospital Board for New Vons. A friend and I, Kate Corpus, and I started the Families for Astor board for Astor services. It's based between the Bronx and Rhinebeck, with the residential housing being in Rhinebeck. So my husband, Brian Firestone, and I, we lived all over and worked all over, and we decided in 2006 to settle down, and we found a place in Boston, and we were about to start a family, and my dad called me and said, listen, I'm sure you'll be happy in this house in Duxbury, But I just want to say to you that when you're starting a family, it's important to live near some family. Whether it be his family or our family, it doesn't matter. Just live near some family. And it was the best advice we could have ever been given, because fast forward, we decided to come to Rhinebeck. My brother lives here with his wife, my brother Michael Bird with his wife Mary Kerwood Bird, who owns Willowwood in Rhinebeck, a great clothing store next door to Samuel's. And fast forward, we all have kids, same ages, cousins are growing up together, community is amazing, schools are beyond great. Rhinebeck School District is fabulous. We're super happy with how they've been with our kids. We now have an 8th grader and a 10th grader, and being near family was kind of key. And also, now that I don't have my parents, I'm happy to live near some family. So in 2006, when we moved here, the Rhinebeck community was super small and super quaint, and we just really fell into place with really great friends, and our kids have amazing friends, and the quality of life here is perfect. It's everything you kind of want for a family, for growing up and feeling safe and feeling secure, and there's a little diversity, and there's a great culture, there's the arts, there's the proximity to the city. It's like we didn't really leave fully, but we left fully. And to the country, which I never really believed we lived in the country till one day I had a friend from California visiting, and we were sitting outside at Liberty and having lunch, and she literally said to me, "You live in the country, Lori Bird?" And I said, "No, I don't." And a tractor drove by, and I was like, okay, maybe I do. Maybe I do. So needless to say, we love it here. We love everything about it.
Anna Claudia Schultz. It's the back. It's a design gallery here in Rhinebeck, and then in the back is my office for Anna Claudia Design. It's an interior design firm, and my husband's office, Smiley & Associates, which is an accounting firm. We were looking for a second home in the Hudson Valley in 2016. We actually moved to Hyde Park, which is just like 15 minutes south of Rhinebeck. It was close to Metro North, and we just loved being around nature and the convenience also of going to the city when we needed to go. And then Rhinebeck is so close, so it ends up being like our little town to dine, to hang out, and to work. It's super charming as a town. It's also really diverse. Like, that was really important for us. We didn't want a community that felt like out of place for us, especially since we came up from the city. And it's just been like a really more relaxed sort of lifestyle for us, and everybody that we've met has been really, really kind. And as far as like working in Rhinebeck, we're all really, really supportive of each other, so that's really, really great.
Frank Pellea. Well, I work in mixed media, different mediums: painting, photography, sculpture, murals, a curator, musician. I like to do a lot of different things. Okay, I used to live in Poughkeepsie. My wife and I would drive up Route 9, and we noticed a little classical building in Rhinebeck, and it was a little Parthenon, a little Greek Parthenon building, and we passed it 1,000 times, and we always were curious about it. So one day we went up the driveway of the property to get a better look at the Parthenon, and we found an amazing property with a swimming pool and a big barn and a pond and a stained glass window and a view of the Hudson Valley. We couldn't pass it up, so we bought it. It was foreclosed, so we got a very good price on it. This is about 9 years ago, 2013, during the Great Recession, so the price was very, very good. And we just love it because it's basically it's like an estate, even though we didn't pay anything near what an estate would normally cost. So. And I have 2 studios. My studio's in the Parthenon, and I also have another studio in the garage, a 3-car garage, and 8 acres of land. I forgot to mention that. So that's why I'm in Rhinebeck. It's nice and small, and it's quaint, but not in a kind of corny way. It's kind of like cool and quaint. It's not, like Mayberry RFD or something. everybody in town is friendly. Everybody sort of knows everybody. It's a really pleasant place to live, and it's so tiny. You know, one traffic light. I never thought I'd live in a town with one traffic light. But it's just generally beautiful, and there's a lot of activities, the fairgrounds, and it's just, the restaurants are phenomenal, and I'm amazed, you know, when I travel around the Northeast, and I mention I'm from Rhinebeck, everybody seems to know where it is, even though it's only, what, 2,000 people or something? It's so dinky, but it's got such a big reputation that it's kind of amazing. I don't feel like I'm in a no-place place, you know, I feel like I'm kind of someplace.
I'm Claudia Cooley. I work with Enjoy Rhinebeck, and in the past I was the director of the Rhinebeck Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also one of the co-owners of here, which is a great facility for events and meetings and just a co-working space. So I'm really proud of that. And of course, like I said, Enjoy Rhinebeck, just promoting Rhinebeck, our small businesses, our not-for-profits, and just the quality of life that we have here. We're very fortunate to call this place home. I arrived in Rhinebeck with my husband and our daughter probably almost 25 years ago. And then and we've been here ever since. And our kids graduated from Rhinebeck schools. And just, I love the fact that when they come visit, they can walk into stores, the owners know their name. When they bring people to come visit, it's a great experience. Everybody loves Rhinebeck. We have a special vibe in Rhinebeck here that I've lived in a few other places, but Rhinebeck, you have a community that wants to be connected. The businesses are connected with the not-for-profits. The community and the residents recognize that. So it's a cohesive group, and there's plenty of ways for you to get involved in Rhinebeck. Whatever your interest is, there's something to do, and I think that's what's so appealing about Rhinebeck. There's truly something for everybody, and I say that a lot when it comes to shopping and food, but also for your quality of life. Like I said, there's just something special about Rhinebeck.
Matt Rosenberg. I run the radio station in Rhinecliff, New York. I think the first thing that struck us in Rhinecliff when we first got there, which is of course part of Rhinebeck, is the library. The fact that such a small community had a library and a community center was just incredible, and it made us want to live there. Once we got to know the community, it's an incredible, talented pool of individuals it's always astounding to me, the new people that we find that are incredibly fascinating careers. They're in arts, they're professors, they do everything, and they're incredibly generous and just really fantastic people. I just think it's one of the most beautiful places you could live, living next to the river in Rhinecliff and being able to, you know, I love public transportation, and being next to a train and even hearing the train is incredible. And being able to bicycle where we need to go and still live in a rural community is really a blessing.
I'm Allison Traver. I'm a psychotherapist, a social worker. I'm a media contributor, and I also host a local radio show called Talk to Allison, which is now a podcast and available on all major podcast venues. And I'm a mom of two fantastic multicultural kids, little girls. What happened was we were weekenders about 15 years ago, and then we sort of slowly made the migration from Manhattan to Brooklyn, and then inevitably up to the Hudson Valley. And the schools were incredible. We had 2 children. The area was gorgeous, and the people were fantastic. What has kept me here is the feeling of safety, of things becoming very familiar. There's a quaintness to it without it being too invasive. You can still maintain some level of anonymity on some days. But really, you know, the getting to know everyone and everyone getting to know you feels like a big family. And especially as a parent, there always feels like there's someone keeping an eye out for your kids. And it just brings this level of safety and confidence.
My name is Rachel Hyman Rouse. I am a licensed associate real estate broker for Four Seasons Sotheby's in Rhinebeck. I bought a second home in Rhinebeck when I was living in New York City and never went back. I like that there's a mix of people that have been here for a long time and people that have come up from New York City. I'm kind of a mix because I grew up in Dutchess County. My dad was a lifelong IBMer, which a lot of people were in this area. We transferred to Paris for 3 years when my dad was working for IBM when I was a kid. And then I came back to my the original house I grew up in, and my parents are actually still there in Dutchess County. I worked in Manhattan for about 14 years, working for hedge funds in the finance industry. And you know, when I was ready to settle down and have a family and be part of a community, this was a perfect spot. I got into real estate as a second career, and then met a guy who had a couple of regional offices up here, Gary Tomorrow, and asked him to open an office in Rhinebeck. So I helped him open that office, and we grew it from 0 to last year we did over $100 million in sales out of my office. I never dreamed I would experience such an exciting career in upstate New York. But I've been able to raise a daughter and live in a nice place and work in the village, which is fabulous. And I have a dog, and the lifestyle you really can't beat. And it's been quite successful as well. So it's been a great thing for me and for my family. And I've got a lot of great friends here, dynamic, interesting people, smart, talented. Great food is in the area. We eat out almost all the time, which is so one downside of being a working mom is that there's not a lot of time to cook, but thankfully the restaurants are great, and you know, somebody's always making room for you. We never sit in traffic. You just pull up in front of a restaurant and everyone knows your name.
My name is John Michelle. I am the founder and co-owner of Mega Brain Comics here in Rhinebeck, New York. Initially, what brought me to Rhinebeck was just trying to find a good school district for my son to go to. The people and the town have really kept me here. I mean, the school district is great, but once I got here, I found a number of things. I found love. I found my wife grew up here, and we now have a lovely house with two more children. And then we opened a business, which really just kind of opened the community up in a completely new way that I never expected. The thing I love about the community in Rhinebeck the most, I think, is just that we all kind of have each other's back. Whether it's like in a familial sense or even like all the businesses kind of look out for each other. It feels like we all have like serious like skin in the game in terms of like trying to make this community as warm and thriving and welcoming as possible, which you know, it's contagious. It's you want to see everybody around you kind of blossom and thrive, which I think is cool.
I'm Jonathan Burkhardt. I'm a producer of movies and television. I've been here now for 18 years with my wife and our 2 kids. We moved here in 2004. But before that, my sister and her husband moved to Rhine Cliff in 86, 87. They had a weekend home. And my first weekend here in 86 or 87, I came in on a Sunday to get coffee. And there was 10 people standing on a street corner on a Sunday morning. I looked at them, I was like, what's going on? They go, so we're scouting for a movie. They hired me as a cameraman. So I made my first movie here in 87, spent 87, 88, 89, and 90 here with my sister and her husband and kids. And then I eventually got married and had kids. My mom and dad moved up to Columbia County, and my wife and I decided to leave New York City in 2003 and settled here in January of 2004. We've been here ever since. And I make about 2 movies a year, have been for quite some time. There's always one movie here in the Hudson Valley, always one in the city or Los Angeles. But I'm in Rhinebeck very happily because I spent many years in New York City and Los Angeles and Boston, and I like small town living. I grew up on an island, so as a kid I know small towns, so I like this. I can walk into town, I can get a loaf of bread, I can get a bottle of wine. It's small, it's quiet. It's busier now since the pandemic. A lot of people moved upstate, but I love it. It's just a perfect little town. Got everything we need. Great friends. I think some of the best friends I've ever made in my life are here. Mind you, between childhood and college and whatnot, I have a lot of great friends, but the people I've met here in the last 18 years, I spend almost every day with. They're artists, writers, some of them are lawyers and doctors, but the greatest thing about living in a small town with all these various types of people is that at the end of the day, they just want to kick back and relax like I do. And so I have friends, again, who are doctors or lawyers, or some of them are scientists, some of them work in technology, some of them are artists and work in film and television. It's a great group of people, and so it's comforting.